So, this is the Gedling discussion. Here's Mike Adams.
Hello. Looking at your nose.
Introduce me.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. That's Sam Smith.
Mike Adams is the local Conservative councillor for Gedling.
And Sam Smith is the chairman of the Gedling Conservatives. As you can see, we are new to this. The idea of this video is to have a conversation with you about the issues that are important to you, and also to try and get the information out to you all in a way that is maybe a little bit more palatable than some of the traditional forms.
Yeah, and how this came about is the Gedling Conservatives hold a local social event in pubs around Gedling, where we invite residents to come and talk to us in a relaxed environment about discussion points that matter to them. And that's what we want this video to be about. We want this video that we're going to do monthly to be about the discussion points of Gedling or in the country that matter to the residents of Gedling.
Yeah, and initially this one is going to be pre-recorded because we're a little terrified of what we might say. So what you'll find is that over the coming weeks we will actually potentially go Facebook Live, where you'll be able to ask us direct questions and we'll be able to answer them live on air.
Yeah.
So
this week, on this edition, we've got a bit of an agenda that we think people might want to hear about and discuss. But on the ones following up to this, we want the discussion points to be all about what you want to hear. So hit the comment box with what you want us to talk about and discuss about what's happening in Gedling, and it'll be over to you in the forthcoming editions. So
yes, the first thing on the agenda we're going to talk about is roads, and this is the you will have noticed around Gedling specifically there's been some big investment. Notts County Council, which is now Conservative controlled, I am very relieved to say, has given a budget of £20 million. Now obviously all this money is raised from your council tax, so you know this is your money, but it's being spent on the things that are important to you. And we have also had an additional £1.6 million come from the government as well towards roads also. And you will have noticed, if you look around and about Gedling, there is a lot of work going on. Westdale Lane's had a massive recover, as Nottingham Road in Burton Joyce, and there are plans for Main Street in Burton Joyce. Grange Road in Woodthorpe, you've seen it everywhere. And my key one, which is Hallam Road, something I was really banging the drum about for a very long time.
Like Pothole Alley, wasn't it?
Oh, it was horrific. It was horrific. And the amount of pictures I've taken of it stuck on leaflets, which I apologise for, because it's not the most exciting leaflet picture, but it was trying to make quite an important point. Yeah, it's been done.
I think the fantastic thing to see about the roads is that the Conservative County Council reserved £20 million for the roads investment since May of last year. And then the government have given this extra pot of money, and also how quickly it's done. You can be driving home from work one day, get home, and it's like pothole, every few metres, and then you wake up the next day to drive on the same road back to work, and they're gone because the road's been resurfaced totally from curb to curb, not just filling in a hole that we know is going to be back again in a few days.
And you know what's the difference this time in this actual council in comparison to the last group that were in control is that you had councillors reporting, as we did throughout our campaign, reporting holes, and it was and it come along and put a bit of, like you say, a bit in the hole, and that's still to a degree. Some of them are still being patched now, but this was everything was being patched. And nothing was being resurfaced, and so that's the difference. And you can have active councillors in all areas, which is fantastic, reporting things, and active residents. But if the money isn't there to spend to do it, the work won't get done. And that's the difference. The money's there.
We've put it in there.
Get on the website, get it reported. Speak to us. Ring the council's free phone number. We will put that on this post as well for you to access later.
Absolutely.
And get it reported.
Yeah.
Let's get it fixed.
Let's do it. Staying on roads, but not potholes this time.
No.
The Gedling Access Road, shortened to GAR, is going to happen starting late this year, is it, Mike?
Yeah.
Across Arnold Lane,
Autumn 2018.
where the Chase Farm estate is, and that's where the Gedling Recycling Centre used to be. As you can see, there's some houses propping up there, look pretty nice as well. Going up very quickly again. Now, the planning rules that is at the moment is that only 300 houses can be built on Chase Farm until the Gedling Access Road goes in. The reason for that is to ensure that residents who live around that area, they're not too traffic jammed in the morning, and to allow the flow of traffic. once the Gedling access road's in, that's going to take 2 years, by the way. Once that's in, more houses can go up on that area.
Yeah, totally. And as Sam says, I mean, the Gedling access road starts at Burton Road, where the old bus plug was, and continues up past the side of the Gedling house,
Yeah.
and also over the hill, and then it actually pops up on Lamley Lane, and not Lamley Lane, Burton Joyce, Lamley Lane in Gedling.
Yeah.
And then goes over the hill and pops up finally on Plains Road, with some roundabouts in between to help connect the traffic from Arnold Lane.
Yeah, there's going to be a roundabout on Arnold Lane just before the national speed limit sign, which will allow people to come down there and then turn off onto the Gedling access road to get to Burton Joyce or other areas. It's going to be beneficial for drivers and the residents who live off Arnold Lane. Yeah,
should be an exciting addition.
Important to add that the Conservatives locally are going to continue fighting for facilities for the new housing estates, so it won't affect what current.
And this is a big thing. A lot of people are worried about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. The Gedling controlled council that's run by Labour are popping up building sites all over the borough, but Gedling Conservatives are determined, with residents that we speak to ensure that current services that residents enjoy now aren't affected, such as school places. So that's something we're going to fight for to exist on these new developments.
Yeah, that comes through something called SIL money, which we get as a result of new developments. It's community infrastructure levy money. You may have heard of that, you may have not. But that money basically goes from the developments in order to fund things like Sam's just mentioned. So we will ensure that money goes to where it needs to.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some national issues then, things you may have seen on the national news this week. Theresa May's been on a tour of the Four Nations, actually.
On the Four Nations, yeah. Has she sold out Wembley yet, do you know?
Well, I don't know. Maybe not.
No, I think she probably could, maybe.
I think she could, yeah.
Yeah, potentially there's potential.
Could she sell it quicker than Sam Smith could sell it with my singing?
I very much doubt it. I think generally, though, we probably couldn't fill a phone box to listen to your singing.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, I'm sure Theresa will do a lot better. But she, Sam's right. She's doing a tour of the UK. This is to celebrate our Independence Day. Happy Independence Day, ladies and gentlemen. It is a year today since we all voted, well, not all of us, but the country's majority voted to leave the EU. I'm over the moon that we are a year on and a year closer to the end of the Rome Treaty.
And isn't it fantastic, even though a year on, the Conservatives are the only party nationally who are delivering on what the people voted for. The people voted to take back control of the borders, our money's finance and our laws, and that's what Theresa May said from the outset since she became Prime Minister, and that's something us Conservatives are determined to deliver. But you've got the Labour Party and other parties nationally who want to keep us in the customs union, which basically is a trade agreement with the EU that keeps you in the single market and means you have to accept free movement of people, which is totally against what the people voted for.
Well, exactly. And how can you be involved in democracy and not be prepared to follow through a democratic vote? How can you, it's like being a car salesman and deciding to try and sell someone a motorbike. What are you trying to achieve? We are here as people that represent our system of democracy. And so when a vote, which is as democratic as it possibly can get,
turnout,
and you could probably say a referendum actually is probably the epitome of democracy, because it is very simply one or the other. It doesn't get any more simple than that. The majority voted to leave, and we live in a majority system.
And we're getting on with it.
Getting on with it. We are getting on with it.
Without boring you too much about Brexit, it's also good to know that Theresa May secured the fact that we can now start doing trade deals. So when we leave the EU on the 29th of March 2018, Happy Independence Day, we can start. There's a theme, that we can start doing trade deals with the rest of the world, which is fantastic. The Commonwealth are queuing up to do deals with us. And the other parts of the world are. So
I saw a story today about the Australian PM. There is a deal literally ready to sign as soon as we leave, which Liam Fox has been working on with the Australians. So that's great news,
Jaguar Land Rover are investing in the UK again. Theresa May is on national news, their garage today, talking about the improvement of employment that they can provide to this country, and new cars which will really drive, pardon the pun there, the way forward for car technology in the world. That's being developed in the UK, and it's going to happen post-Brexit.
And something interesting, there's a guy I know from a company called Verco, and they are currently working on a flying car which is being developed in Derby, and the guy himself is from Shield, in Nottingham. I met him not so long ago on Mappy Top. We have the innovation, we have the skills, we have the belief, we have the entrepreneurs, and we have the investment to make these things thrive. As the great British country goes out to the rest of the world, we have absolutely nothing to fear. So let's look forward to that. The battery's running a bit low, so. Quick one on, let's jump to the environment. Let's stick with the positives.
The Blues are going green now here. The Blues are going green. Michael Gove, Environment Secretary, has brought in new laws about plastic.
Yeah. Deposit schemes, plastic deposit.
Yeah. Mike, you launched single-use plastic at Gedling Borough Council to eliminate plastic being used and not being able to be reused and thrown away.
Yeah.
Try and save a little bit of the environment to Gedling that way. And the Environment Secretary seems to be listening to you in Gedling now. Yeah,
and also, was really fantastic is the leader of the Gedling Conservatives at Gedling Council, Chris Bonfather, has just put a motion in at County Hall to take the fight against single-use plastic to the whole county. Whenever you're dealing with an issue like this, if you only get to deal with a very small amount of people, you don't really get the issue dealt with. You've got to push it county-wide, because that's where the big money is. And this is about events. So, for example, if you were having an event, let's say the Arnold Park Festival that we have at
coming up soon, isn't it? Yeah.
Very soon. It may be as part of that we're going to attempt to phase out the use of plastic, single-use plastics in that event. So these are ways and means that we will actually improve not only our own business as a council, but also the business of the actual wider Gedling area, and that's how the knock-on effect happens. And it's very positive. I went to a restaurant today. And in fact, the guy said he was actually struggling to get hold of straws because they'd sold out. And I mean, I'm talking about paper straws, not plastic, because of the push to do that, which is great news. Our own Gedling Play Forum have bought a machine to make their own, which is fantastic of them. So yes, there's that. Like Sam says, Boris Johnson signed the Paris Accord, so we are part of the Paris Agreement against climate change. We're phasing out coal by 2030. We're going to phase out single-use plastics by 2042.
Electric cars are going to be
cars. Driverless cars are a bit worrying.
Driverless cars a bit worrying.
Like the idea of them, but they. I don't know.
But electric cars are coming in, so diesel cars are being phased out. All go to the environment. As I said, the Blues are going green.
Blues are going green. What's blue and green, mate? There you go. That's a question for next week.
Comment the answer below.
So moving on. Last thing. Now, the final thing would be a questions session, but as we're not Facebook Live, we won't be having a question session. So for now, we're going to leave that, but we're going to move on to our
answer questions in our next video of the questions you ask in the comments. So any questions you ask in the comments, we will answer in our next video too.
Please ask away.
So join the Gedling discussion.
For now, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for listening. And we have something a little bit different to follow this video. So keep watching. Thank you.
Thank you.